Welcome to the Fitness Oracle, where we have real conversations with real people just like you. I am your host, John Katsavos, and today we have an incredible guest joining us. Please welcome Sterling Walker, an online coach specializing in fitness, mindset, nutrition, and personal development. Sterling's journey is truly inspiring. Fitness became his lifeline, helping him navigate through homelessness, anxiety, and depression. Today, he's here to show us that by mastering our bodies, we can also master our minds, a superpower that no one can take away from us but ourselves. Sterling's story is a testament to the power of gratitude and resilience. From sleeping in the back of a restaurant due to a family altercation he wasn't directly involved in, to eventually finding a place with his college wrestling teammates, he faced countless struggles. With little money, he could only afford peanuts from a gas station for sustenance. In our conversation today, we'll dive into a range of fascinating topics. We'll explore the profound connection between fitness and stress management, uncovering how taking care of our bodies can positively impact our mental well-being. We'll delve into the body-mind connection, mindset, personal development, and how fitness can boost confidence. Now, if you're ready to take your life to the next level, I have an exciting opportunity for you. Join the Fitness Oracle newsletter today and gain exclusive access to a range of incredible perks. As a subscriber, you'll be the first to know about our new episodes, getting early access before they're released to the public. But that's not all. As a subscriber, you'll also receive a personal one-on-one phone call with me. We'll discuss your fitness goals and lifestyle goals and how we can help you achieve them. Plus, you'll gain free access to our private community where we hold engaging community calls to discuss the episodes and how you're applying the lessons to your life. And there's even more. As a member of our exclusive community, you'll have access to some exciting programs that we're launching so you can continue your journey toward health and wellness. So don't wait any longer. Join the Fitness Oracle newsletter today and embark on your transformative journey towards a healthier, happier you. Now get ready for an inspiring conversation with Sterling Walker and get ready to unlock your true potential. Sterling, welcome to the show.
Hey, nice having me on, John. I'm happy.
It's an honor to have you on here. How did the arm wrestling competition go? You're the first arm wrestler that I have on the show. So this is a great episode that we're going to have.
Arms are pretty sore, but I did good, man. I came first at 198 in the amateurs for the first place on left hand and the right hand. I've only been training for it for about 2 years now. This is my second competition. I just don't compete too much because of work, but this is my first time competing in Dallas since I just moved here. Recently, I moved from Vegas, so that's where my team and my first competition was. So testing the waters out here in Dallas, and we'll see how it goes from here.
Very good, very good. And congratulations on getting first place, and congrats on that. That's a big accomplishment.
I appreciate it. Thank you, man. Still kind of sore, but getting through the pain, getting through the pain.
I always kick off the show with these two questions. What got you first interested in the work that you do? Let's kick it off with that one, with the personal training and fitness and all that.
Well, what started me into it was well, it started about 2 years ago. I started doing my fitness a while ago, but I picked up with my training for a little bit and I started being more consistent. Then my wife was telling me, "He's like, maybe you should be a personal trainer," but I just didn't have no confidence in it. I was like, I don't see myself training people like that. But I've always had people mention to me, like, "Hey, how do you get in shape? How you do this? How you do that?" But it wasn't until I stumbled across a guy that was formerly my coach and mentor, Wes Watson, and He's a real motivational speaker, and he was talking about how when you're a man, if you fail, if they fall, you got to lead from the forefront, and that goes from being the leader physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, everything. So that really kick started me into focusing on helping other people, and because I wanted to help my wife get in shape. She's always wanted to be in tip top form. So started with her, helping her train the people around me, and then from there, I started seeing myself like, hey, I can help other people do this. So I started about 6 months ago, and just been going hard ever since there, spreading my knowledge and helping people just build themselves up physically and mentally.
Awesome. Have there ever been any moments where you just wanted to say, screw this, I'm just going to get a 9 to 5 and just numb out?
Well, actually, no, I still do have my 9 to 5, but hey, there's always moments, man, where I'm just like, like is this really going how I wanted to? The ups and downs, but I always keep in mind that the down moments is where there's something I got to learn to get to the high moments, because everything's about yin and yang. I can't have the highs without the lows without the highs. They wouldn't make them worth it if I didn't have those things. So on those days where it's like I just don't see anything going, or the progress isn't as going as fast as I want it, I just always ground myself and say this is the character building moment.
You've had quite a youth. It's been to say the least. It's been a roller coaster ride for you. How
Yeah.
important has fitness been in your transformation from being homeless to where you are today?
I mean, that's honestly been the biggest thing for me and the number one thing in my life, because fitness doesn't spread just to, just the physical. It's really helped me with my mental health, being stable and grounded emotionally. But I mean, for me, man, it's like, from the times when I was homeless, going through these types of struggles and whatnot, fitness has helped me look at my perspective and understand that even though things around me might not be in my control, I always had control of my health and my wellness. And the more I focused on being on control of what I do have control of, the less stressful my life was, the less stressful I was worried about things that were out of my control. So, fitness always helps me every day in my day life to be focused on what I do have control versus what I don't.
Mhm. And I know exactly. I haven't been homeless, but I know how important fitness is mentally uh, for somebody. I mean, going through depression is not an easy thing. Going through hardships is not an easy thing. But when you have that that distraction, I like to use fitness as a distraction, like going to the gym as a distraction. How do
Hmm.
you see it fall into your play, and how did you see it fall into your life when you were in the thick of it?
Oh, the big thing for me is I always like to base everything on energies and vibrations or frequencies, because no matter what people believe, the life is all about energy. And the thing is, I noticed when I was younger going through those hardships, when I woke up in the morning, I'll be negative. But when I took that time to work on myself and raise myself out of those low frequencies into a higher one through fitness or high elevated intensity trainings, I went from, saying like, man, life sucks. Like, sometimes I just didn't think I was going to make it through it. Like, fuck this, I can't do this. To, coming out those gym sessions, pushing myself to looking at the solution, saying like, I got control over this. Like, this might be hard, but I'm gonna get through this. And, that's what's so important about training. The way you train does correlate to your life, because when you train hard and you push yourself, you're training your mind and your physical to be like, this is tough, but I'm gonna push through it. And those things all just boil down and spill right over into your regular life. So when things get hard there, you're already used to pushing. So you just correlate that thing to your day to life, your job, your relationships. You say, oh, it's hard now, but if I push through, the reward's going to come later.
Hmm. Yeah. And do you find that that there was an instant in the moment when you were in the gym? Did you take your anger with you in the gym and take it out on the weights like I do very often?
Yeah, very often, man. I mean, when I work out, and I like to work out by myself. When I work out with people, I always tell people, there's nothing wrong with, getting emotional, using your emotions to your advantages in the gym, because, I've lost a friend to suicide. I lost my cousin. He was not too much older than me. He got hit by a car, sadly.
Oh,
I lost my grandmother. She was sick and, further on, but still sad losing her. But I took those stressful emotions into the gym and just pushed myself harder. I tell people all the time when I'm training, I think of like, when I'm bench pressing specifically or squats. I'm like, if I don't lift this is going to fall on, my friend, it's going to fall on my cousin, it's going to fall on my grandma if I don't get this up. And, I get that last rep out. And, doing that stressful times in the gym and just taking it all in there, I just end up coming out feeling way better. And I'm no longer just feeling that heavy burden on my shoulders no more. I just lift it all off me through the gym. So that's what I always use when I'm going through a stressful moment. And if I can't get to weights, I hit the ground and do burpees or some push-ups, and that helps as well.
Oh yeah. Cardio or deadlifts?
Man, I'll be honest with you. They're both intense and they both help a lot. But it comes down to what you like. I mean, I love hitting deadlifts. I hit some heavy deadlifts. It's like the same thing. It'll get the stress right off me, especially lifting something heavy. But cardio too, when I get tired and I don't want to run that extra, mile, I'll run it, and then it's the same effect. That stress that I had will just go right away.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of torn between the two as well. To be honest with you, I'm a little torn. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's they're both good.
Yeah, I love both, man. I love the weights, and I do, I like high intensity training, so I like sprints and stuff like that. I'll still jog if I need to, but I've always hated long distances. But when I used to train in wrestling, my coach would tell me, he's like, "You're such a good runner, man." He's like, "You should run." I was like, "I'm only running because you're making me run." That's it. I would not be running on my own time if I had the choice.
Do you find like it's a little bit like a meditation kind of thing while you're at the gym? Because I'm like you. I really like working out by myself. I don't like working out with partners. And it's like this time, it's me time, it's sacred time for me to be inside me kind of thing and deal with my own crap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really big thing for me. I can agree because I've had friends that wanted to train and get in shape, and I don't mind training with them. But just for me, when I train by myself, it really gives me a time to reflect, look at my life through in between sets and resting. And it gives me that me time to work on me because I think that's what a lot of men need nowadays. They need more time to focus on themselves because as men, the world demands so much of you. And when you get going into the thick of it in the day from your work, relationships at home, everything takes so much time for men that men don't really get too much time to focus on themselves. I mean, for me, that's why I love waking up early because, if I wake up at 3 and work out at 4, and I don't start working until like later in the day, till 8 or 9, that gives me a lot of hours just to focus on what's stressing me. I could reflect on it and, it takes a big burden off my shoulders versus going right into the day. I work on everything and it's like I'm never focused on myself enough to where I can bring 100% to the table. I'm only bringing like 60% because I'm just straight out of bed going right into it. First, I work on myself and I build myself up more so I can get more to my life.
Let's touch up on that a little bit because 3 o'clock in the morning is a little bit early to be waking up, to be flat out honest. I know through the circadian rhythm, your brain is going through a psychological repair at
Mhm.
3 a.m. Do you go to bed earlier to wake up at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, pretty much I like to go to bed at 9, but it just depends because my wife, she likes to go to bed a little later. So sometimes I might be up a little bit later, but I still give myself rest days to go through that sleeping period to get enough rest because rest is important for training and just to recuperate. But I wake up from either 3 or 3:30, depends. Because previously, before I did my job I'm doing now, I mean, I used to have to work at like 5:45, 6 in the morning. So, and I like to get my workouts before work. So I woke up at 3, maybe 3:30, and just get my workout in, and then it just helped me regulate my day. So when I go through the stresses of the day, that workout really helped me just have a good state of mind.
You don't feel that you're a little bit groggy in the middle of the afternoon kind of thing?
No,
Or
no, honestly, no. At first I did, just going through it at first, but after you start doing it and then you notice how you feel versus when you don't, I felt perfectly fine. Because when I didn't work out and I'll go to work or deal with the stresses of the day, I just find myself so negative and, just having a low perspective on things. But when I work out, I might feel a little bit tired if I stop moving during the day. But I mean, I'm always pretty much active and I've always had a better peace of mind when I push myself in the morning versus trying to do it later in the day after work when I have less energy.
and just so you and I are clear, I love waking up early in the morning.
No, nice.
Being a personal trainer, you kind of have to be up at like 4:30 just so you can get to the gym to train your clients, but at 5 a.m. So I get the benefit of waking up early in the morning. So there's a lot of people out there that would argue the fact that waking up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning is bad for you. And I've seen studies where um, the less sleep that you get, the more detrimental it is for you as you get older. Um, do you feel that you're more sharper after you wake up early in the morning, go to the gym, and maintain that physical activity throughout the day, rather than just waking up in the morning, go to work?
Yeah, I feel a complete huge difference versus doing that versus just going straight into the thick of it. I mean, like I said, the stresses that I have and the way I take on life, it all correlates to how I do my morning routines. And if I don't do my morning routines, man, I really can't stay as sharp and stay on point as I usually like. I usually will have like the stresses of life starting to go too much into my ear and I'll overthink things. But when I take that time to wake up in the morning, it really grounds me and it brings me into a mind state of like, anything that's coming at me is just here to build me. It's not here to break me. And I understand a lot of people have different theories and whatnot, how they feel with waking up in the morning or whatnot. But I know what personally helps me. And I've had other people try it too. And, everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's not the same. But I just know personally for me and my experience, when I wake up at that time and I do my thing, it might suck in the beginning when I get out of bed. But as soon as I get going in my day, I just thank God. I'm like, thank God I did that workout.
I love how you have that morning routine, and I swear by morning routines and evening routines and afternoon routines. I have routines throughout the entire day, well, except for Sundays, which is just everything is just a mess for me on Sundays. But
Mhm.
how long do your morning routines last, and what does it generally consist of?
So usually for me, in my morning routines, I like to wake up at either 3 or 3:30 in the morning. I get dressed, go to the gym. I usually like to stay in the gym from like maybe 45 to at the most like an hour and a half. I don't want to be in there too long. And then I come home, I let my dogs out, use the bathroom in the backyard, feed them. And then I just take about 30 minutes. If I have more time, maybe an hour, but I usually take 30 minutes just to jot down all my inspirations, things that I'm after, things that I've accomplished. I like to speak in terms that I've already accomplished it and really reflect on my morality and what I'm going after because, I think too many times in life we get so caught up in the moment and think that, we have forever, but we really don't. So I always like to reflect on that after I work out, when I'm in a good state of mind of what am I after? What do I need to do to get this? And understand like time isn't forever for everybody. So got to just get after it every day as much as I can.
It's interesting. That's interesting that you do I call it my to-do list. My to-do list.
Mhm.
I usually do it after my routine, but my routine doesn't include the workout, which is quite interesting. Like you're putting your to-do list right after you go to the gym and you work out all that stuff that you had bent up over the day before and everything. So it's quite interesting. Have you tried to do the to-do list before the gym?
Yeah, I've tried to do it before, but like I said, for me, it's just always better when I do my workout first, then I do my to-do list. This puts me in a better state of mind and taking on the day.
Let's change gears a little bit here and talk a little bit about the mind body connection. Um, I came into experience this when I was a teenager, where if I thought about the muscle that I was working, I was focused on the muscle that I was working, the muscle would grow quicker. Have you ever experienced anything like that? And what do you mean by mind body connection to help increase your fitness and control your body a little bit more?
Well, yeah, because I mean, with training, the big thing is a lot of people when they train, they don't focus so much on that. They focus more on the movement. But when you really get that mind muscle connection, it gets you a better overall. It works the muscle. You get a better connection. And overall, you feel more accomplished because you're going and working something that you're actually trying to work towards. A lot of people will go into the gym without that mind muscle connection. And when they work out, they'll be like, I'm doing squats, but I'm feeling my lower back, or I'm doing bench press, but I'm feeling my shoulders. some of that still dials down to form and whatnot, but a lot of people gotta leave the ego at the door and lighten up the weight, focus on what you're trying to work on, keep the position straight, and really don't be too eager because I know a lot of people in the gym, people have that rush. I call it the lottery mindset. They think they're going to the gym for a few months and like, bam, I'm gonna get it. And so it's a long term game, man. I want to look like certain people like Arnold Schwarzenegger one day, maybe. I'm not gonna be taking what he takes, but I want to look like that one day. But it's a long term game, and once you learn to fall in love with the process, that's when you start to understand like that's what it's really all about. You fall in love with the feeling, so you stick to it versus just the results, because the results never come as fast as we want. So that's what the big thing for me. So yeah, like you said, all back to mind muscle connection. It's really important in the gym that people get that mind muscle connection and leave the ego at the door because it'll really change your workouts. You won't just feel like you're just going through the motions. Because I've trained people and they'll just go through the motions so fast and they're like, the workout was good. And I was like, so how are you feeling this? He's like, yeah, I kind of feel it. And I'm like, all right, well, I want you to tweak your form just a little bit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this feels like 20 times heavier. I'm like, yeah, my muscle connection goes a long way in training.
But it's also interesting because it also helps the other person or helps people remove themselves from their everyday life and puts them focused on the task at hand.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a big thing because I mean, you know, it's like falls into the anxiety thing. Anxiety falls onto people that focus too much on the future. And if you focus too much on the next step ahead, you'll never be able to take on the task that's in front of you. So when you're in the gym, like you said, you focus on that mind muscle connection. You just focus on what's in front of you versus what's next, what's next. You learn to stay grounded in the moment and you actually get a lot more done versus saying like, what's next, what's next, what's next? Because you just never really focus on what's in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, I love doing that with my clients too. So it's like focus on this, don't focus on what's next. I love that. Do you do any like mindset exercises, not just in the gym, but like at home? And what does it does it consist of anything, and what are they?
The biggest thing that I'll say for my mindset training, it really comes down to like when I'm in the thick of it. When I'm in the thick of something, I always come back to how I talk to myself in those hard moments. I always come back to the mindset of this isn't here to break me, it's here to build me. What is this trying to teach me instead of saying like woe is me? Because it's so easy for us to play victim in the midst of everything. But once we start to look at it, because everything's all perspective, something bad might happen to me and it might happen bad to the next person, but it's all about the perspective of how they look at it. And that's how people get over things. Because like we mentioned before, I mean, when I was homeless, there was two perspectives there because my father was homeless with me for a bit. On his spectrum, he was contemplating suicide and whatnot. But for me, even though we were both kind of in the same boat, I was able to have a perspective like, this is a tough time, but I got control of this and I can get through this. It might be tough right now, but it doesn't rain every day in Seattle. So perspective is really important for anything you do to get you over that hump.
That's a hard place to live to be in. I've almost been homeless twice this year, and I know how much of a in my own hometown of Toronto. So I know how hard it can be to get out of that kind of headspace.
Hmm.
And it takes a very strong man to have a positive outlook like you did when you were homeless in Seattle. I mean, it takes a very strong man to do that. So I give you applause for that and give you praise for that. Because was there like any exercise that you did, anything that you focused on? Like, I'm sure that there's some people out there listening to this right now that are in that kind of headspace right now, that the world is coming to an end for them and they don't know how to get out of there. What could you say to somebody like that?
I'll say the best thing that I did when I was working out to keep me out that negative mindset space was always because a lot of people think, hey, I don't got weights, I don't have this. And I said, use your body weight. That's the best thing you can use. I mean, in high school, I never had weights like that. I had to use body weights. So if you don't have a pull-up bar, you do push-ups. And if you think push-ups is too easy, the perfect mantra is burpees. And I know a lot of people don't like burpees, but the thing is, one, you don't like it, right? So you need to do it. So you learn how to do something you don't like. But number two, you go from being down on the ground to getting back up. And that teaches you that when you're on the ground, you have to get back up. I used to do burpees out the ass for hours until I can get myself out of that mindset. And, just doing it halfway, I'll go from that mindset of saying this is like I was like, what's the point of going on anymore to saying like I could still keep going. It's like I got through this, so I can get through this. So it's important that people understand that working out is not just always about the physical. It's all about the mental mind state of how you bring yourself up from out those lows. Because it's not just always about just the physical mindset or physical perspective for people. The people that you see in the gym that are there every day, it's a feeling that they're getting. It's a way of life that they're getting. If it was just about, looks, people that you see in the gym, they wouldn't be there like they are. I wouldn't be working out like I would. I do it for the feeling. Like I said, I have to work out in the morning just to keep my mind space right. Because if I don't and I take on those same tasks, I just never could look at them or tackle them the same way.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Whenever I've done it for looks, I always fall out of the gym. Whenever I do it for the feeling of, feeling better and feeling more connected, I'm always in the gym for extended periods of time, like year, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you brought up an interesting point. The people that don't have, let's say they don't have the money to go to have a gym membership or a martial arts membership or whatever, to be using calisthenics. Burpees, I hate. That's
Maybe you
why
should do a board. Yeah, I
I
hate them
got
too.
I gotta do more burpees.
Mhm.
But I do agree with you. It's hard to be angry when you're doing something that you hate. It's easier to be angry at the thing that you're doing that you hate. And it kind of gets your mind unfocused from there. Have you noticed that? Have you ever noticed that it's easier for me to hate the thing that I'm doing than hate other stuff while
Yeah,
I'm doing it?
yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, like you said with the burpees, like hating burpees, I hate them. But I love the feeling that I get after them. So when I don't have no weights around me, or say if I'm going through a stressful moment, some people might look at me crazy, but sometimes I'll take myself to the side and I'll just do some burpees. And I'm like, man, it's like you work out 24/7. And I was like, well, life is 24/7 and my mindset's 24/7. So I got to keep that regulated because if I don't, it's like I said, the world will brainwash you. So it's important that people brainwash themselves first before the world brainwash you with what it wants to brainwash you with. So you got to take control of your mindset by inputting what you want to put input to it.
I love that. Brainwash yourself before the world brainwashes you. I really do love that. Let's talk a little bit about achieving goals and mindset. A lot of people, a lot of people, and you've seen this. I'm 100% sure you've seen this. In 6 months' time, the gyms are going to be packed,
Mm-hmm.
just jam packed with all these people who want all these goals to be achieved, and this and this and this and that, and they're going to be these lofty goals. How do you help people um, bring a little bit of reality to their lofty goals and try to not get them into those New Year's resolutioners kind of mindset?
Well, the big thing is people are too much into instant gratification. As soon as they do something, they want gratification for it right away. So the big thing I stress about is delayed gratification. So when we do something, instead of just focusing on just the results, like I said before, you got to focus on the feeling. Because, a lot of people want things so fast. And the thing is, we'll just never get things on time the way we want it. I know we want things, we might want these cars in this next year. We want that house in these next 5 years. We want this, we want that. But it's not technically what we need. What we need is what we have in this present moment. And that's what people got to focus on. So I try to take people really out that aspect of focusing on what I need or what I want versus what do you really need, because a lot of things that we have are just things that we want. We don't really need them as much as we think we do. And if we were actually to take time to take those things away, we will understand more that, hey, I don't really just need these. I'm just in a state of desire. And that's what this always brings me back to frequency. When people are in a low frequency or a low state of mind, we're in a state of desire, we're in states of temptation. We're always looking at like, I need this, or we play that victim. But when we take time to work on ourselves and we get ourselves out of that low, we start to understand that everything that we ever could ever really want or need, it all stems from us. Like the cars, the clothes, all those things, we put the happiness into those things. They don't bring the happiness to us. So once we learn to produce happiness from ourselves, then we start to understand like, I don't need those things because I got everything I can ever need from right here. And if I don't feel like it, I just need to work on myself so I can produce the happiness from myself.
Do you think social media has accelerated this instant gratification?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people get caught up in social media and don't understand that a lot of social media is just highlights. People are highlighting their life and not telling the story of it because people understand nobody likes the story of a person that just had all the ups. People like the story of people triumphing over the hurdles. Like I'm sure you've seen the movie Rocky. That's my
Mhm.
favorite movie, man. And I remember my dad showed me that as a kid. We always used to watch that before, wrestling tournaments, but the story was so great because he went through all the turmoils, but he ended up coming out on top. So people have to get out that mindset of just saying like things are just going to keep going up because everything is polarity. It's yin and yang. You're not going to enjoy the ups unless you have the downs, and you can't get through the downs unless you understand the ups. Because when you're going through the hard states and hard times, you got to understand that if you're going through something hard, that means it's setting you up later down the line for something better. And when the better times come, you just have to learn to enjoy those moments because the hard times are going to come back, but they're just coming back to teach you something more so you can bounce back even further the next time the good times come.
There's something that you said there, just managing the ups and downs. I don't know if you follow hockey. Do you follow hockey at all?
Not too much.
No. One of the coaches from the Tampa Bay Lightning, John Cooper, actually had this one saying that I really, really, really love. Don't let your highs get too high and don't let your lows get too low. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to implement that myself in my own life right now because there's a lot of lows that I went through, and I went too low into my lows. And there's a lot of highs that are coming into the future, near future, and I'm trying not to let them get too high. How do you, one, do you agree with the concept of not letting your highs get too high and your lows getting too low? And how would you help somebody to stay in that middle ground?
Yeah, I completely agree with that because I mean when I was younger, I really had a bad self-image of myself. I didn't have too much self-confidence and I would get really into a low and I'll push myself even lower to where I almost was always in that low. But there's a difference between being in the low and then pushing yourself lower. Like for example, I could tell myself, if I look in the mirror and I don't look the way I want to look or feel the way I want to feel, I can tell myself, I'm gonna keep feeling this way unless I push myself to be better versus just saying, I'm just a fat piece of shit. I'm nothing. I'm that. And that's what a lot of people struggle with. People are so quick to talk down on themselves and they're not giving themselves actually constructive criticism. You need to be more constructive with your criticism, not just I'm just a fat loser. You need to say, if I keep doing these habits, if I keep following these steps, then my life is just going to keep going in the same path. And the same thing with the highs, people get caught up so much in the highs, they think they're untouchable and they just think it's going to last forever, but the ride is always going to end eventually. So, the best thing for me I found is just, when the highs come, I just enjoy the moments as they come. I enjoy it. I don't get too far off onto it, but I just understand like, it's here to enjoy. So I enjoy it while it is, but I always fall back into my routines. Like my routines is what really keeps me grounded, like waking up early in the morning and working on myself. It keeps me disciplined. So when I do have those highs, I understand, okay, I'm enjoy it now. And then when the lows come, I'm gonna go through it, but I understand these are just here to strengthen me. And I just keep going through those cycles, getting stronger and stronger.
I love it. I love it. I love how you put the routines in there to keep yourself grounded because a lot of people, once they get into those low lows, or into the high highs, those routines just go out the window.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's crazy because it's so easy to get caught up. Like you said, when you're in the highs, you're like, okay, I'm here now. So what do I need to do what I did before to get here anymore? And it's like my coach told me. He said personal development is the number one important thing. And people would think like, well, I don't need personal development. But the reason is when you look at people that won the lottery, right? They win the money and then the next 5 to 6 years they fuck off all the money. And the reason being is because they never developed the person that can actually handle the money. And it's the same thing with looks and physique. If I was to give somebody all the muscles and the physique in the world, or if I gave some random guy the muscles and all the world, you probably just go out there and be a damn weirdo and just like start trying to take his shirt off and flex in front of all the chicks, just come off weird or try to beat up a bunch of guys. And it's because he never personally developed the person that can handle the success, the person that can handle the muscles. So that's why people gotta understand that you gotta enjoy the moment and enjoy the process, because the process is gonna build you into that person that can handle it. So when the things come, you know that you can maintain it because you're the person that can actually handle it. Versus if you just give somebody everything they ever wanted, all they're gonna do is mess it up because they don't have the mindset strong enough to obtain it and maintain it at the same time.
What about on the flip side? Because I've seen this as a personal trainer. I've experienced this on myself as well, where um, you do get the muscles, you do get that 100-pound weight loss in a year, and you still see yourself as that skinny, scrawny little kid. You still see yourself as that fat sack of shit. You still see yourself as um, not what the world is seeing, but what you saw a year ago, 6 months ago. How do you help somebody see themselves for who they are now rather than who they were in the past?
I mean, the big thing I would say is because I mean, body dysmorphia is a real big thing, and it's real easy to always focus on the past, but you really just got to focus on the moment and enjoy that. Because for me, like it's so easy for me to get caught up and say, "Oh, I still feel like the same person I was before," or feel like this and that. But the thing that's helped me to stay present in the moment was when I worked on myself. I had to focus on the now, not focus on what I was back then. Because when you focus so much on what you were, your mindset is going to project what you think about. So if you're just constantly thinking about I was this, I was that, you were those things, but you have to focus on what are you now. Because if you're focusing on what it was, you're never going to enjoy what you actually have. So whenever I get into those moments saying like I'm not as big as I want to be, or I'm not as far as long as I want to be, I have to really be realistic with myself. Like, am I projecting the thoughts from my past into the now, or am I just being realistic on what I really have now so I can move forward?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not an easy thing to do because I'm talking about it from experience. Like when I was in my mid 20s, I took half a cycle of some quote unquote help, and
Mm,
I grew like a monster. I just exploded, and I still saw myself as skinny. I was benching almost 350. I weighed 160 pounds. I was bench pressing like more than 100% of my body weight,
mm,
and I still saw myself as skinny. And everybody around me was like, "What are you taking?" I'm like, I wouldn't tell them that I was taking anything, but I saw myself skinny, and it was not just with myself. It's with a client, with an old client of mine who lost 100 pounds, and she still saw herself as that fat girl.
mm.
And it wasn't up until somebody else pointed it out to her where she started to see herself as different. And it's the hardest thing that I've been struggling with, is trying to help people understand to live in the moment. What are some of the tools that you use to help people live in this moment?
The biggest thing I've helped used to help people live in the moment is always training and working on themselves and the self talk, because they both go hand in hand. Because a lot of people think that you can just think yourself into a positive mind state, but it takes action to actually bring yourself into that positive state of mind. So it's like my wife, for example, she's been in those moments where she's felt like, I'm not changing, I'm not this, I'm not that. And I'll tell her, okay, what I want you to do is we're going to go to the gym, we're going to work out, or we'll be at home after we did our workouts. She might be back in that state of mind. I said, okay, we're going to drop on the floor and do those burpees. There's something about when you actually work and push yourself through a workout or through an activity that you truly love that takes your mind off of the future or past. It just helps you come into that positive state of mind to where you're no longer fluctuating into the future or too far into the past. And that's the biggest reason why I stuck to fitness, is because when I don't do those things, then that's when I start to creep into saying like, "Oh, Sturry, you're still a piece of shit. Oh, you're this, and you ain't that. You ain't this." So that's why I tell people it's more than just the workouts. If you get on the ground and do 20 burpees, I guarantee you from the beginning of that burpee, when you were saying you weren't shit, to when you get to that 20th one, you're not going to be thinking that same way. And then if you still feel that same way, I want you to do 20 more and keep going. And I guarantee by the time you finish, you're going to be like, wow, I feel like a whole different person. Because, like, for me, my biggest struggle in life was always social anxiety. I mean, when I was a kid, my father didn't let us out the house too much. He was kind of a paranoid guy, but I never had too much social experience with people. And it wasn't until I actually got a sales job that I sucked at it, but it got me out of my bubble. But it wasn't until I got out of my circle and I started talking more and working on myself more, I started understanding like, okay, I'm not this weird social anxiety guy that I am. It's just really I'm just in a low frequency state of mind. That's all it was. But then when I worked on myself, I pushed on myself, I was like, I wasn't feeling that sense of like, oh, I'm worried about what this person is going to say. I'm worried about what this person is going to say. I was just focused on me. And I said, I'm me, I'm comfortable in my skin. And I just moved forward from there. So I tell people all the time, hey, if you're thinking too much of like, I'm not this, I'm not that, you need to get on the ground and hit some burpees. And I guarantee you're just in a low frequency state. That's all. Because that's all you see when you're in a low frequency state. You just see the negatives. You don't see nothing positive about yourself. But once you raise yourself out that low, that's when you go from saying, oh, I'm this to, I actually am this. Like I am a better person or whatnot.
You keep touching up on this, and I want to dig a little bit deeper on this low frequency states and how exercise helps push you out of those low frequency states. And I'm a huge, huge, huge believer in frequencies, and because we are frequency,
Mm-hmm.
we vibrate on a very high level frequency, and well, it fluctuates, and you've touched up on it quite a bit, and I want to dig a little bit more deeper. Can you explain a little bit more on how somebody can, other than shifting from um, just using exercise, do you think like listening to different types of music, for example, for eating different types of food, for using different like methodologies when it comes to like meditation, stuff like that, do you use any of that to help increase people's frequencies?
Yeah, definitely. Because even though working out is a good thing, I tell people, when you focus on saying an activity that you truly love, it'll actually help you take yourself out of that low state of mind and get you more grounded into where you're just focusing on your passion so much that you're no longer experiencing that anxiety and depression. Like for me, example, I like bowling and I love drawing. And I've noticed that if say if I have a rest day from the gym and I just take a moment to like go out bowling or draw a bit, it would actually take my mind off of so much of focusing on the future and the past, to where after I finish drawing or I finish, meditating or writing down my goals, it actually helps me stay more grounded in what I'm doing. And people call that more flow state. That's what it's actually called, when you're in a state of flow to where you're not overflowing to like into anxiety and depression. So I tell people, you don't have to work out every single day. I'm not the advocate just for that. If you love the gym, I say go for it. But it's important, you still work out on yourself, because how you look at yourself is important and it helps a lot with your health. But find interests that you love and work on yourself, because you can do those things as well. And you'll find yourself being way more grounded than what you were before.
I love it. Do you believe that specific locations can play a role on a person's uh frequency, their different states of being?
Yeah, I definitely believe that can be, but at the same time, all that stuff isn't within our control as well. Like I've been to places where I felt off or whatnot, but you got to focus on the control that you have over your own frequency. So even though there might be a position where things might not be positive around you, you can still control the positivity within yourself. I mean, I've heard plenty of stories of people going to prison, or like for example, when I was homeless, you're not in a position that you want to be. It's not specifically a high frequency state place, But as long as you focus on what you have control of, you can understand that I could still be a positive person in a negative position. I can still push that positivity to get me out of that negative situation.
You almost have like this resilient, never quit. I don't want to quit. I'm never gonna let life take me too down kind of attitude. That's what I've been picking up over the last 45 minutes. And it's kind of it's very inspiring. I'll tell you, you're a very inspiring young man, and I'm grateful for that.
I
But
appreciate it.
there's a lot of people out there that are just completely down and out, and they don't have that fight inside of you like
Yeah.
you do. You have this this fight inside of you, and it's admirable. Let me just get that straight. I love it when I see a young man with a fight inside of him, and his life is never enough. How do you help through all your techniques, through all the stuff that we talked about? What are some what's do you have like a 3-step program that you could help people to learn the fight that you have inside of you without obviously becoming homeless?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to become homeless to build a fight. But I mean, the one step I could say is always take yourself out the equation. Well, in the beginning, I'll say focus on what you need to do to better yourself. But then step two is take yourself out the equation, especially as a man, because as men, we're meant to provide, and we feel better when we can provide for our people and the people that look up to us. So when you understand that I'm not just doing this stuff for me, I'm doing it for the people that look up to me. I have to take care of these people. You start going from saying like I don't want to do this because you don't want to do this. Like there's days I don't want to wake up for the gym, but I have to because I have other people that, for example, are going through some tough times and they're like, this might be my day where I just need to give up. But me getting up and showing people through social media, I got up and I pushed myself every single day, gives them another reason saying I could still push some more. And when you take yourself out the equations through your struggles or whatnot, you start to understand that it's not just about you and you build a different type of strength. That's a different type of strength that you build when you start to take yourself out the equation. So one, work on yourself first thing in the morning, put effort into you. And two, take yourself out the equation. And number three, understand that what you're doing is for not just you, it's for the people around you in the long run. You gotta understand that as a man, when you provide for your people, that's the best thing you can feel. So when you do something that's on a greater scale that's worth more than you, then you find the energy and the strength every day to get up no matter what, because you understand that if I fail, they fall. Like my brother and sister, they're like my kids because I had to foster them at a moment. My wife, I love her so much. The moments I feel like it's like, what am I even doing this for? Like, what's the point of doing this? Like, I'm tired, I'm this and that. But the moment I take myself out the equation and said, it's not about you, Sterl. And like, I get vulnerable with myself. I know a lot of people have a hard time, but I like to be constructive myself. I'm like, hey, Sterl, don't be a pussy. Like get your ass up and go fucking do that shit for them because they need you. They need you. And a lot of people don't think that way, but they have to understand that everybody has somebody that looks up to you. Everybody has somebody that's watching you, that's cheering for you from the sidelines. And sometimes it's people that we wouldn't even expect. Like I've had multiple people that I didn't even really know that become like, hey man, you're Sterling Walker, man. And it's like, I remember you from back in the day. It's like, I was like, you inspired me to get going. And it's like, it's inspirational, but you just never know who's watching you. So you just got to get up every day and push yourself and do it for others because you'll find the best strength when you do it that way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for that. We're coming up close to the end of the show, and these are the 9 or 10 questions that I ask all my guests. I just want to get your perspective on these 9 or 10 questions. With the increase in people suffering from depression from the constant uncertainty that we've been living through for the last 2, 3 years, well, 3, 4 years, what would be the one thing that you could tell them to keep their hopes up?
Number one thing I can say to keep your hopes up is to work on yourself. It's like no matter what you're doing, you have to learn to better yourself through everything. Because once you work on yourself, you can instill the confidence enough to attack any goal that you have. Because the moment you go into things and you don't put the best into you and you put the invest into other things, you're never going to be that best person that you need to attack and come at your goals.
Very cool. What's the one thing that you do daily that amplifies your ability to stay focused?
reflection. Reflection is the number one thing. Even though I like to work out, if I don't reflect on what I regret, I never can move forward because we all have things that we regret or things we could have done better. And the moment we start to focus on those weaknesses and work on those, that's how we get just a little bit better each day because everything's about progression. It's not about perfection.
Perfect. If you could pick up the phone right now and call yourself at 20 years old, what would you tell yourself?
Shoot, if I had to call myself 20 years old, I would tell them, I'll say, get your ass up at 3 and start working out. Now, I would say, I would say the best thing to my 20-year-old self right now is focus on what you love, focus on the passion, and don't be afraid to fail. Because it's easier to fail when you're young because you have more time to bounce back versus when you get older and you got more responsibilities.
Looking back, would you change anything?
The only thing I would change is I would say back then when I was a kid, I lived too much for others and not enough for myself. And I say that like in some of the passions I was chasing, I think I was chasing too much passions for my father's dream, not my own. So I would tell myself, focus on more what you're passionate about.
What's more important for a man, his word or his purpose?
Mm. They both go hand in hand, but I got to say purpose because your purpose is what you're put here to do. And if you don't go after that, you're going to live a life full of regret. And the worst thing you want to have is being on your deathbed full of regrets. And I could have done this or I should have done that.
What scares you?
The number one thing I'll say that would scare me is letting my people down, letting them down and not letting them have no more confidence in me. Because even though confidence is important to have with yourself, you don't want to have your people looking at you less because their confidence in you is also another big boost in confidence.
Very cool. Where do you see Sterile Fitness in the next 5 years?
5 years, I see myself working with 100+ clients a month, and I see myself just getting more outreach on these podcasts. I just love talking to people and helping people, man. It's not really so much about the money at the end of the day. It's more about seeing more people positive because I've seen enough people that's gone down the rabbit hole, and it'll be ashamed if I had all the knowledge that can help people to my extent and abilities and I not give it to them.
Very cool. How about you personally? Where do you see yourself personally in the next 5 years?
Personally, in the next 5 years, I see me and my wife moving back to California. We were just talking about this. We live in Dallas right now, but we work a lot with business, and we're looking to one day be back in California, hopefully in the next few years. That's her dream place to be, and I want to see her happy.
That's awesome. Well, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
Where can people find more about you?
Just check me out on Instagram, Sturls Fitness. That's where I have all my information. Later down the line, we're going to be starting a YouTube. My wife, she handles all the YouTube stuff, but everything you can find about me, reach out to me on Instagram.
Very cool. I will post the link to your Instagram account in the show notes so everybody has easy access to you and all your content. Any final thoughts?
If I had to say my final thoughts is I would just go back over the steps. Number one thing is work on yourself in the morning. Put the best as you can into you because you can invest into your car, you can invest into your job, but until you invest into yourself, you'll never be the best version of you. And number two, chase your passions. Don't be afraid to fail. I know a lot of people are in love with perfection, but perfection just creates a lot of stagnation because you're too worried about being perfect. Just focus on baby steps and anything that you have regret on, work on those every day, and you'll find yourself 20 steps further ahead than what you were before.
Sterl, thank you so much for coming on the show. Your story of resilience and your fight is inspiring. There's two things that I actually look for a good man is those two things, resilience and a good fight. Coming from my ancestors, it's what makes a man a man. Without those two things, you cannot be a man, and you're already there. So thank you for that. Thank you. Your story is absolutely amazing, and how you help people with fitness really hits home for me because it's stuff that I actually preach with my clients and with myself, not recently, but it's
Nice.
you have a very inspiring story. So thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your knowledge with everybody here.
I appreciate you having me on, John.
Going through hard times is just a test. What you need to know is that when you get out of whatever you're going through, you will be stronger than ever before, and you don't need to go through it alone. Always know that you are not alone. Stay tuned for more real people with amazing stories that are just like yours. Until then, to everyone out there listening, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you may be in this crazy world. Hey guys, John from Resilient Reboot Productions and the Fitness Oracle. I just wanted to thank you for watching this episode, and I really do hope that you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, and share this episode if you are watching this on YouTube or on Rumble. If you are listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker FM, or whatever streaming service that you may be using, please give us a 5-star rating and a positive review, as it will help us reach out to more people that are suffering from mental health issues. Now, if you haven't done so already, I am offering access to a free weekly newsletter that we send out every Sunday, and it's jam-packed with podcasting tips and health and wellness tips to keep you balanced in the podcasting and content creating space. So if you haven't done so already, sign up to this free newsletter. It's totally free, and it also gives you access to the Fitness Oracle private community in Mighty Networks, where we talk about this episode. We talk about how you have implemented these lessons that you've picked up in your life and how it's impacted your life. And we are working on a lot of great other programs and support systems for you guys to be able to access. So if you haven't done so already, sign up to the newsletter, and I'll see you guys on the inside.